question about the two examples you gave. One was a childhood one, an old one, and then the other one was a current one, but it's based in a pattern that was probably learned somewhere.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
as you're working with this, and you may not know because I don't know how long you've been working with this idea, but is there a difference between finding the root of where did this come from? Where did I learn this? Whether it's a pattern or a reaction to something versus just deleting that program and assuming it all goes with it. I mean, so
Mm.
like the childhood one makes sense, deleting that, but the one about money and the prosperity versus deficit and saving versus prosperity,
Yeah.
does it feel important to find the root of that and delete that, or can you just delete that file and the whole thing goes at the same time?
Yeah, and that's a great point. So the answer to that, I'm not sure. So I know the childhood one's easy to do that because it just gets rid of it, the thought, the memory of that, and the feeling that comes with that. It's no feeling anymore. But the monetary one is just a mental construct. It's just a mental idea or concept that I have in my mind. It doesn't come from. But in saying that, there must go back. If I wanted to trace, when did that thought come that I can't spend too much. I have to save, 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 and can't spend too much. There would have been something from my parents about that. It would have been triggered. I learnt it from somewhere. But
Yeah.
I'm not even sure whether it matters where you learnt it from. It's just about how do I just change that file now? Go and find the file, go and find the
Right.
folder where it says, and just go, okay, delete that one, or just change it, delete that one, and put a new folder, and then it says, just create more money. Create more money. You can do whatever you want. Yeah,
Okay.
and
Yeah, that
create
was
as
my
in yeah, just change it. And so I think you could do both. I think they both work because I don't think you always have to go back to the trauma to break the pattern. I think you can do it with, you know, positive affirmations will change it just by doing an affirmation for 22 days, 10 times a day. That'll break the pattern of it. And so there's lots of different ways you can do it. This is just a particular way, but you're right. There was two different versions. Yeah, and both of them
one.
work off the folder principle.
Yeah, yeah, and that's
Keep
where I
going.
wasn't sure when one is more vague, if it matters that you get clarity on where it came from, or if you just delete the file and you don't need to worry about where, when it's something that was taught like that rather than something that just happened to you, like the
Yeah,
childhood one.
yeah.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think there's the trauma one, which is a very different folder. And then there's the other one, just there's a story you got running, just go and find the story folder and just delete it. If you want to replace it with a more positive one, so put a new folder in there, one with a more positive aspect, like positive affirmations, and just put the positive one, but you've got to delete the other one first. Otherwise, they're both running and they'll be in conflict with each other. Yeah, yeah, because otherwise you'll have the, I'll use that money one, you'll have, oh, I've got to be really careful about money. And if I spend too much money, I'll just, I'll never get ahead. I'll start going backwards. And then have the same one, oh, I have abundance. Well, you see those two are in conflict with each other. So they're going to fight with each other, aren't they? And what will happen is a weird thing is they're both going to come up in your life to prove that they exist. So then all of a sudden you're going to have all this money come to you in abundance, and then you're going to have a whole lot of, oh, I'm spending too much money. Oh, and then all of a sudden you go having your money. So you're going to get both of them working because you've got them both running. Yeah. So I think it's lovely that we have this freedom to do that. It's just to change the way we think. It's just an interesting way. It's an interesting way of doing it anyway. But thank you for your point. Have you had one yourself? Have you had one where you've thought of something and you say, oh, I'm not going to do that anymore, just change it, and then a year later you go, oh, it's still there, and you react again to it, and you go, oh, I haven't quite got rid of it, have I? It's still there, it's still running in the background somewhere. Have you had that experience?
That did work. I think, well, we've all had that experience.
Yeah, and I
uh,
think that, and I think this you try this one. It'll come up. Something will come up for you to work, and it probably has come up because we're talking about it. One of them's probably already come up. So you try it with us and let me know. Message me after this and come back. You've got my email anyway. Just message me or info at Forest Rock and just message me and tell me what it feels like when it's gone and try and access it.
right. Do you think
Just
it works with habits, like reprogramming the program
yep,
for a certain habit to just delete that
absolutely.
and replace it with something else?
Yes, absolutely. The
Okay,
habits of program. The habits of program. It's a
right.
program running inside your system.
Because I've done it with getting rid of a habit, but I don't think I've done it with like putting a new habit in its place.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that's the
Then you,
missing part.
yeah, yeah. Otherwise, there's an emptiness, and then what will happen is you can default back to the old habit if you haven't got anything you replaced it with. It's just like a computer defaults back to the thing it knows. It defaults back to its own original program. It's fascinating.
And the last thing in my brain, and this may not be helpful to the conversation, what happens if you've backed up the hard drive to an external hard drive? Do you have to go in there and delete it from there as
Yeah,
well?
you do.
Or if you have some kind of a competing belief, like, yes, I want to feel good enough, but then if I have a different belief that it feels like, well, I don't deserve that, and if
Yeah.
those get in conflict, and then one is,
Well,
I
because
mean,
the other one still exists. It still exists in a hard drive form, so it still has power.
yeah,
It's like if you wrote something down on a piece of paper, this a negative thought, and you've got it in a filing system, it's still alive. You've got to burn it. You've got to get rid of it. Otherwise, it energetically still lives. So if it still lives, that program still lives in the back of a hard drive somewhere, it's still
right.
alive. Even though you might not have it yourself, but you still have an attachment to it because it's your external hard drive. You've still got an attachment to it. And so it's still running, even though it might not be running the present day one, but you still hold it. And so you get rid of that.
I had
And so
an
that's how
experience.
it's a very interesting way to clean everything out.
Yeah. Well, and the idea, the power of your thoughts. I had an
Oh,
experience a
huge.
handful of years ago that I was playing with this idea and it got dangerous really quickly. Um, it was at the beginning of the year, this time of the year, January, and I had this idea that I thought was a good idea. I was very wrong about that. Well, maybe not, but it was to increase pleasure in my life by seeking scarcity, was the idea.
Yeah.
So I was focused on that and kind of just trying to find small ways to do that. And then I got really sick and ended up in the hospital, and things got really scarce really quickly. And I was in the hospital for about 3 months. Um, but then coming out of that, the appreciation you have for a body that works the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
So in the end, it did work. I didn't ask for it to be that big.
Yeah.
And then there were some specific triggers around hospital, like the blue scrubs that the nurses wear was a
Mm.
real trigger for me for a while. And I don't think I've gone through, and this was 3 or 4 years ago, the deleting those programs, that because
Yeah.
I feel like they're not triggers now, but I haven't really tested them, but I'm a little afraid to.
They're all still running in the background. So isn't it interesting? You've got to be careful what you ask for
Yeah,
because somebody's listening to you. And if you ask for that, so okay, the easiest way for you to have scarcity is that you can't move. So we'll put you in a hospital bed. Then you'll understand what scarcity looks like. And you go, this is not quite what I meant.
I don't want it at all.
Could I have a different version of this? So you got to be really careful. It's like somebody said, I want to grow my courage. No, don't say that. How do you grow courage? You have to have things that you have to have courage for. That could be some place of pain and suffering, and other that you've got to get courage. Whoa, careful what you ask for. And the consciousness hears your question and says, it's almost like, do you really want to know? Do you really want to know what it looks like to be scarce, to have scarcity? You go, yeah. Are you sure? You go, yeah. And then you get it and you go, okay, that's not what I thought. Because you'll get it in a way that you learn the lesson quickly. You won't be scarcity over 10 years. You'll go, okay, scarcity, okay, here, nothing. You can have nothing. There you go. How you going with scarcity now? And you
Right.
go, okay, we'll delete that idea. Let's have a new one.
And I think the
So
problem
it happens
was
like that.
when I asked for it, I was thinking scarcity that I would choose.
Yeah,
And
exactly. But you didn't say that though, did you? Can I
I
can
didn't
I
say
pick the
that.
scarcity? They said, okay, well,
And,
you just give me a broad stroke with scarcity, well, I'll just give you one.
well, but I do think I learned the lesson and the appreciation of the pleasure of having a body that actually works. While the intervention was quite intense, the pleasure I was looking for was actually
Yeah,
quite intense as well.
exactly.
And so it's some other good things came out of it. So, but yeah, it was one of those where like I didn't get really specific, and there you are.
It's you just get it. You get it in a way that's you get your result. You get what it feels like to have the scarcity, to have less. You get to have the feeling. It's just you didn't say how fast or how quickly you wanted to feel that. And so you got it. You got it. Okay. And obviously, for you to get it that quick, your consciousness is quite strong. So you've got to be really careful what you ask for. I'd say that in the future, and just have a little bit more deliberation. When you ask the question, just okay, I'm going to put a few rules to how I want this to happen, because otherwise, obviously, you can manifest it really simply, and it's going to do it for your best outcome. See, the thing you got from that, you got a lot of beautiful outcome. You didn't realize the suffering you're going to have to do to get the outcome. to get the experience, because you didn't ask how you wanted it. You had it in your mind, I think it this way, but you didn't ask for that. You just asked for the experience. And that's how it works. And it works really quickly. And obviously it works really well for you. So in the future, just be careful what you ask for.
That, that
Don't
was my
ask for the
very
courage
first
one.
try.
Don't ask for the courage one. A horrible question. I want to grow my courage. No, you don't. Because what grows courage? Pain, suffering. Don't worry. Don't do that one. But you understand the principle. You understand the principle, what happens when you, because your conscious has your best interest at heart and wants to teach you. And our theory that our soul comes into our body and it seeks experiences. It wants experiences, and it doesn't know the difference between wrong and right. It just wants experiences. And our theory of soul that's connected to that plans how that's going to happen. This is the Chinese medical theory. And so your body wants this experience. It says, I want this experience. I want the scarcity experience. Yeah. And so then your theory says, okay, well, we can, there's numerous ways we can do it. We can do it this way, this way, this way. And you don't realize that's going on in the background of how you're going to experience it. So next time you're sharing, you say, I want to experience this, but I want to do it this way, and this way. Thank you very much.
I've
I'm
learned
going to be
that.
precise.
That was my very first time with it. And it was actually a TCM intervention that caused me to be in the hospital for 3 months. But in the long run, it was a good, a lot of good came out of it. But yeah, I learned. That's my first experimentation with it. And then I backed off.
I just know that I just want to say that being a TCM practitioner, you don't always get that result. Just want to tell you that that's not a good result from a TCM experience. So yeah, thanks for sharing. I think that opens the whole door of that. Our mind is more powerful than we think it is, and our thoughts and what we really want. You don't necessarily get what you ask for. You get why you asked it. Yeah. I remember, I just lead into a story. I remember somebody said to me one day, he said, um, he said oh, I just want to have some money. I just want to have money so I don't have to worry about money. And I said, oh, can we unpack that? And I was sitting talking to him, can we unpack that? Because that wasn't what he really wanted. And I said, so what would happen if you had money? And he said, well, I could just do anything. I could do anything in the world. I can be with my friends. And I says, so what does being with your friends with money look like? And he says, well, I could buy them things and do things to do that. And I could share things with them. I said, why would you want to share things with them? He says, well, it's just about, it's about showing my care and my appreciation for them. I said, so what would happen if you share in your love with them? Would you get anything for that? And he says, well, they could probably love me. We could learn how to love each other, and I could do that, and I could do nice things for us. I said, so then when you feel loved and cared for, how do you feel? And he says, I feel really happy. I said, good. I said, what you really want is you just want to feel happy, don't you? It's got nothing to do with money. And so then just ask to be happy. It's not the money you want. Because sometimes we don't realize what's driving the question. It's what sits underneath the question, below the question. What you really want is that what and what consciousness hears isn't I want money. It hears I want to be happy. It doesn't hear all the other stuff. It hears what you really want. And I said, Ollie, you're a really happy guy. I shouldn't just mention his name. The person I'm talking about. I said, you're a really happy guy. And I said, yeah, I am a happy guy. I said, yeah, so you're already getting what you want. And you have a funny story around money is going to make you something you already are. I said, isn't that bizarre? And he sat there and go, that's just the weirdest thing. I said, you're already happy. So sometimes we just don't realize. I think it's a lovely, always, one of my things, it's not why you do something, and it's not what you do, it's why you do it. What's the motivation? What's the driver? What's the driver of the thing behind us that's making us do these things too? What is it we really want? What is it we're really looking for in our life? And I think it's really, really valuable because our conscience, because we can create whatever we want in our lives, find out what the driver is, what's driving that, because you can have some pretty weird experiences to feel that feeling. And they can be pretty dramatic too. They can be big. And some of those you don't want because that's okay. I didn't untick that one. I don't want it that way. Can I have a different way? I think it's valuable. I have another one too. God, just keep coming to me. I had another one last night about my YouTube channel. I've got things on my YouTube channel for 10, 15 years ago. And some of those times when I was 15 years ago, they weren't happy times for me. But I've got videos alive on my YouTube channel. And I thought, whoa, they're still alive. They're still playing in the background. I said, okay. And so today when we finish this, I'm going to go and take them off the channel. And I'm not going to just unlist them. I'm not going to just, because I have the video copy of them. I'll keep the video copy. I might not actually might get rid of the video copy too. I just thought of what I just said then. See, I want to hang on to it. Do you see I wanted to hang on to it? I'm going to delete them completely. And there was a mere part of me that wanted to hang on to it for memory. No. Because at that time I wasn't happy to delete them. It's interesting, eh? There you go. And so that's running alive on my program, my current world. I thought, well, that's interesting. That's doing it. And I just caught myself to see myself, catch myself. I'm going to delete them, but because I've got a copy of them. Ooh, exactly what you said. I need to delete them and go and delete the copy as well. Otherwise, they still exist. They're still running in the background. So thank you. You just helped me with that one. I just thought another piece to that. Yeah, like that. And then it's gone. And then you go, no attachment, gone. Very cool. Thank you. We're working together, help each other today. It's very cool. Thank you for that. I thank you for your insight and input into that. Appreciate it. Yeah. Anybody else like to talk about their experience of what that looks like? Don't be shy. Any thoughts that's come up, or anything thoughts that have come up that you'd like to share? Any experiences that you've had around this? It's a fascinating subject. You just want to be free. You want to be free while you're thinking, because I'm waiting for you to keep thinking. You want to be free. That the idea in Chinese medicine, we have our consciousness, we talked about our Shen, and our mind's like veils in front of our consciousness. And our mind has all these stories about life. The mind's taken over our life and it fills up the present moment. If I think of the mind's really good for memory and it's really good for planning for the future. But in the present moment, it doesn't live because there's nothing for it to do in the present moment because you're just living in the present. But what the mind's cleverly done is worked out how to cover up the present moment. And so now we have no gap in thoughts. If we go from past thoughts, present thoughts, thoughts about what's happening now, and we grade what's happening now and what's happened in the future, in the past, and we have an experience now from memories of the past, and we worked out how to cram this clear mind thing up. So there's just constant thoughts, and so it's difficult. Part of the meditation or the Qi Gong is to go back into that place of quietness and to take away the mind so that you can sit in consciousness. The consciousness, remember, doesn't have wrong or right. It just is present. And the mind doesn't like that, of course, because the mind loses control about that. So it wants to filter that back up and try and get you meditate, try and get you to think of things. you're doing Qigong exercises and you're sitting there quietly in Qigong, and then you start looking at other people doing their exercises and start judging what they're doing. Oh, they're not quite right. Oh, their arms too high. Or their head's leaning backwards. And your mind starts occupying itself in the stillness because it does that. It likes to be busy. It's been taught to be like that because you were taught from a very early age to sit down and use your mind. Sit down and think, sit down and think, sit down and think, sit down and think. All through school, thinking, use your mind. But there's no time where it shows you in schooling, well, not some schools do this, how to stop your mind and sit in the peace and quiet. And learn they both exist and be able to walk between the two worlds. Busy mind, quiet mind, presence. And creative mind, or creative mind's quite often the present, but creative mind goes in subconscious. So it's an interesting thing to do as an adult, is to get the thoughts, stop the thoughts, so you can actually have more consciousness. And these, of course, meditations do that. Meditation's great. But the thing with meditation, here's one. I don't know where this is coming from. Just yeah, meditation. One of the things is meditation. Don't adjust. Don't adjust when you're sitting in the meditation. When you're sitting in the stillness, don't move. So even you're sitting in meditation, you get itchy ear and you just scratch your ear and you come down. Don't do that. You're sitting in meditation and you feel this funny nagging pain in your shoulder, don't move your shoulder to release it. Just sit in it. Vipassana do the same thing. Don't move. And sit in the discomfort, because that discomfort is the story. It is the mind. It's the stories. So that's all part of those pain in your body are all things we're attached to. They're all things we've got to let go of. The only way you can let go is to sit inside the discomfort. And there's a beautiful thing that happens, and they just dissolve if you can sit in it. But if you're sitting in a lotus, you get pain in your hips, and you just be okay with it. And that's the hard part. Sit in the stillness, and the hardest part of meditation is not to move at all. And people don't think they move. People meditate, oh no, I don't move, and you watch them, they move all the time. And they don't even know they're doing it because they've got so used to it. They're occupying themselves in the meditation by movement. How's that? Humans, we're clever. We've cleverly worked out how not to be in that space of discomfort. But the discomfort is the story. That's the part that's stopping us. So anyway, there you go. A piece about meditation, not a tiny piece about meditation. If you're a meditator, yeah, don't move. Sit in position, don't move. Whatever, stand, do whatever you do with meditation, don't move. Enjoy the pain in the stillness. I just love that. Focus on the pain. Single focus. Focus on the pain. Just sit inside the pain. Don't try and beat the pain. God, I'm still going on meditation. Don't try and beat the pain. Just dissolve yourself into the pain. Don't try and put up with it. Don't try and bear the pain. Acknowledge the pain. Just go into it. Don't fight it. Don't try and beat it. I bet you can't beat it. You've got to let it go. Pain is the story. Pain is the thing you're hanging on to. That's why it's hurting, because you're hanging on to it for grim death. You've got to let it go. Anyway, moving on. Back to our minds. The minds that interfere. We've created this interesting illusion in the world where we become mind people. So, and you've heard me talk about this before, and I'll say it again, that our experience in the world is an experiential world. We have experiences. We experience sound, all our senses, sound, sight, hearing, taste, feel. All of these are senses, and all of them your mind can't explain. Your mind can't explain what the note C minor sounds like. You can't put it into words. You can't explain what a banana tastes like. You can't explain what the color yellow looks like. You can't explain what hot feels like. Your mind, there's no words to describe it. So all our senses we have, or the smell of French sapani, you can't explain what that smells like. It's impossible. So all our sensory experience is beyond mind. Our mind can't explain any of it. And I think that's fantastic. So what the mind has done is created a world it can explain. You can talk about money, you can talk about politics, and talk about what people are doing and how bad they are and how good they are. It can talk about all that shit because it can explain all that. But when it comes to senses, our experience of life, it can't explain any of it. It can't explain what sadness feels like. How do you explain it? It's impossible. There's no words to describe it. The Tao Te Ching says, if you can explain the eternal Tao, the first verse of the Tao Te Ching says, if you can explain the eternal Tao, it's not the eternal Tao. Like if you could explain God, it's not God. Bigger than your words can ever go. It's the same. Well, you can't explain what a banana tastes like. I'm sure you're not going to be able to explain what God is.
Do you think that again that where we're trying to focus on the things we can explain because that meets the need for control?
Yes, our mind keeps our mind involved in it. Keeps you away from consciousness.
But it continues to perpetuate the illusion of control, and we feel much more comfortable there.
Yeah. All of it, all of the above. It makes you feel safe. It's giving you the illusion of safeness, security. If you're in control of everything, so if I'm in control, everything's right. It's just all mine. But that's in the mind world. But the subconscious world doesn't know wrong or right. It doesn't care. It just do whatever it wants. It doesn't care. But we have this other world we've created to keep ourselves safe. And why do we keep ourselves safe? Where does the consciousness come from? Unsafe. What is that? Where does that come from? Where is the idea that we're unsafe? Well, fires, for a start. I just use that because it's a really obvious one. The fires make you feel unsafe. Yeah, of course. But do we have fires? Yeah, we do. Do we have earthquakes? Yes, we do. Do we have all of that thing? Yes, we do. And we've been having them forever. But does that reason you should feel unsafe? No, but we've been perpetuating the unsafe feeling, because when you are unsafe and you feel in fear or you feel threatened, it just locks you into your mind. It locks you into the fear. And the mind is a fear, it's a mind thing. And for the concept of fear gives you a feeling of fear, and you have the mind. You can't explain the feeling of fear, but you can have a mind idea of fear. And so it just locks you into the mind, having a mind experience of it. You have a physical body reaction to it, but it's a mind experience. That's why you have the emotion of sadness, which is a mental thing, but the feeling of sadness is undescribable. And so we just stay inside the mental understanding of it, which is the sadness or the fear or the anger or the frustration or whatever it is. We can stay inside it because they're mental constructs. Yeah, it's bizarre. It's like it's almost like we're cornered in here. The whole society has been created to keep you locked in your mind. Because if you get out of your mind, you become conscious, then you realize what's going on in the big picture of that, and you realize that none of that matters. None of it's important. It's just people playing with people. And they've been playing with each other for a long time. It's not as though people manipulating people and using people and affecting people. This is a new thing. I'm sure the Romans did. I'm sure the cavemen used to fight with the cavemen beside him about who had the biggest stag or the biggest kill or whatever it is, who had the flasher cave. I'm sure it goes right back to then. It didn't make any difference. It started a long time ago. The concept of mind. At the end of the day, but if you're just in survival mode, then you're just eating to survive, and conscious family is a very different thing. But as soon as you start comparing yourself with the neighbours, it starts, doesn't it? I don't know who created the solution of world, what we live in. I'm not sure who created this whole construct of life. It's an interesting thing we live in. I mean, half the people in the world are trying to kill each other, half of them are trying to control each other, and the other half just want to make love with each other. What a crazy world. There's people who just really care for other people out there. There's people out there who just don't care about others, just care about money. Who created this? I mean, what a mess. I remember, God, I just keep going on. I get excited about these conversations. I remember I read an article one day that talked to, I think it was a cartoon that showed the aliens flying over the planet Earth. And the aliens looking down, should we go here? And they're looking down, and there's people over here killing each other, and there's people raping, murdering each other, and there's people fighting over a piece of land, and people fighting over a tree that hangs over their property and doesn't hang over somebody else's property. And they're looking at that shit, and they turn around and say, nah, let's go somewhere else. And I thought, it couldn't be a true thing. What a messy world. And there's people that love and care for each other, and these other people want to kill each other. What a strange thing going on that planet. And I thought and we live here. We're trying to make sense of it ourselves. We can't understand it. There would be a way you could live in harmony the whole world, but it's not happening. There's enough money that everybody on the planet could be millionaires. Everybody could have a house. Everybody could have food, and the whole planet could be looked after. And even the more producing the planet, there's still enough for everybody that's coming as well, getting born by the second. There's still enough for all of them, but it doesn't happen. Strange planet. We don't look after each other. I don't know. It's just the mind goes, don't understand. Doesn't make any sense in my head anyway. It might make sense in